An extract from Sycamore, written and read by Cordon. Usually I'd spend my day giving Freddie Bowes Spencer and Christian Schneider a wide berth. So of course I was anything but over the moon when our boss Tom sent an email to the three of us saying, "Pens down, I'm taking you all out to lunch to celebrate. Meet at Cicchetti's, 2 p.m. We were on our way there. Fred sitting with his back to the driver, gripping the grab handle as we turned sharply down Threadneedle Street. Christian just wouldn't come up for air. "Have you split your deposits, mate?" he asked Fred. The sun was catching the signet ring on his little finger, sending golden shards about his salmon shirt, and he kept flicking his head as though his hair were in his eyes, which it wasn't. "FSCS protection only covers you to 75,000 max, so you don't want any more than that with one bank." "Really? What are the chances of a bank collapsing? It's not like we live in the third world, for Christ's sakes," Fred replied, his accent conveying everything about how he grew up. The public schools, the gap year, the winters skiing in Verbier. He was only 22, and yet he spoke with a confidence beyond his years, both forced and forceful. It made me nervous. We got stuck in traffic as we approached Bank Junction, and each gazed in silence at the vast Italianate structure where those whose forebears had once conquered continents controlled the flow of money around the country, the world even. It didn't matter what it took. We all wanted to end up working in a place like that, this mecca for finance professionals. "It's about tax-efficient wrappers," Christian said, removing his tortoiseshell glasses and cleaning the lenses on his tie. He held them up to the window for inspection before nodding and placing them back onto the bridge of his thin, elegant nose. "If you're not using up your allowance each year, then you're a bloody idiot. You need exposure to global markets, mate. Instability is everything right now." Christian was really on a roll, becoming more animated. "I mean, the returns from Iraq are off the charts good." He enunciated off the charts by chopping a flat hand into an open palm. It made me think of politicians, and I wondered if that was something he'd been taught down the Oxford Union. "BAE Systems?" asked Freddie. "That, yes, and oil," said Christian. At this point, I was beginning to feel perfectly vindicated by my "give them a wide berth" comment. Christian sat upright and started looking around, as if noticing for the first time the route we were taking. "Sorry, mate, are you taking us the long way? Did you hear me say Cicchetti's?" He leaned forward towards the partition. "Cicchetti's. It's in Mayfair, mate." He shook his head. "Fucking cabbies," Freddie laughed. So did I, imagining what the cab driver was thinking. When we arrived at the restaurant, an attentive waitress in heels greeted us at the door. Freddie and Christian exchanged a smirk before following her to our table, eyes examining his silhouette, her haunch. The restaurant was mostly busy. Only a few empty tables stood dressed in their white linen and heavy silverware. A few of the patrons looked up at us as we made our way through the space. Lots of grey hair, pearl earrings, suits. It made me feel too big in my body, too hot in my dress. I wish I'd worn lower heels and less makeup. We sat at the table, and the boys continued talking about where to stash our trust funds when Tom and Felicia arrived. Fred and Christian stood expectantly. I wondered where they'd been taught to do that, and whether I should also stand. But before I could decide, Felicia had slapped her Prada handbag down on the table and turned her back to me, peeling off her cardigan while she air-kissed the boys. I wanted to hate her, I really did. But Felicia Ing was too glossy a creature, too immaculately dressed in her trademark DVF wrap dresses and Jimmy Choos, too well regarded at the firm to be anything other than admired. Plus, she was my training supervisor, so there was that. Tom Hades followed casually, uneventfully, appearing at the table with minimal fuss. He loosened his tie and undid the top two buttons of his shirt, which honestly I think was one too many, for it exposed too much smooth skin to be appropriate at the dinner table. But it was also entirely a part of his MO, this, "Hey, I'm just one of the guys, just call me Tom," routine. Tom was undoubtedly one of the most senior partners at Ashmore, Snell and Sotheby, rebranded as Ashmore's, shortened by us trainees to Ass, but he was probably one of the youngest, late 30s I reckoned. and he wasn't at all flashy. More understated suits in neutral tones, black brogues, navy ties. Felicia and I are very pleased that you're all coming to the end of your training contracts, and we're delighted that the three of you have chosen to qualify into our team, Tom said, straight down to brass tacks before we'd even ordered drinks. As you all know, structured products is a relatively new practice area. Management still needs some convincing, but we, he pointed to himself and then Felicia, and then himself again in quick motion, are on a mission to grow this department twofold over the next 12 months, and the opportunities for career progression will be exceptional. Christian had already tucked into the bread and was grinning so hard that he had to catch a drizzle of oil that had missed his mouth and was running down his chin. But opportunity means nothing unless it allows individuals to be unequal. Some poppies will grow taller than others, Tom continued in earnest. Margaret Thatcher, I said impulsively.